What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel, where for today's video we're going to be checking out the Transformers Reactivate Voyager class Starscream, based on the upcoming video game produced by Splash Damage, and this is yet another awesome post-apocalyptic take on the classic character. So far, I think all of these Reactivate figures, specifically the Voyagers, have been banging. Definitely some of the best releases that I've checked out this year, and this design for Starscream I just think looks killer. So as we check out the details, first of all, this is a Starscream with blue eyes. Now, with the exception of how he looks in Earthspark, I do believe this is a first for this character, so I am kind of wondering how this is going to play out in the game. Maybe Starscream is going to defect to the Autobots, I guess only time will tell. And much like we saw with the Reactivate Bumblebee, there's also quite a lot of asymmetry going on with this Starscream design. So as you check out the right hand side, pretty much all of the black armaments, despite how subtle they may be, do differ in sculpt work when compared to the left hand side. So maybe Starscream and Bumblebee at some point in the game will become damaged and will require the use of additional components in order to patch themselves up. But I thought that was just such a great attention to detail. I mean, check out that collarbone. It has clearly been damaged in battle. The chest design is awesome. He uses next to no fake pieces when it comes to the transformation of his jet mode. Check out the additional panels that we have here for the thighs. The leg design I think is brilliant, and as we spin Starscream round here to the back, just as nicely detailed as the front, he is packing 3 boosters, which I think are really cool, although the 2 embedded in the legs are an absolute pain in the ass. Depending on how you hold him, 9 times out of 10 these do like to click into their vehicle mode positions, so in some ways I wish maybe they could have actually clicked out so they weren't so easily compressed. But check out these quad wings. That is so cool, kind of a throwback to how Starscream appeared in the Transformers Prime show. I think it's just such an awesome design, and like I've been mentioning lately, I just cannot wait to see these Transformers now in some actual gameplay, which, talking of, let's check out what firepower this guy will be packing. And in true Starscream fashion, we see the return of his iconic null rays, which, much like the figure, the right hand side null ray is slightly different in its sculpt work when compared to the left hand side. So really am intrigued to see how this is going to play out in the game itself, but let's check out their integration, which is super seamless. I mean, the way they attach onto the forearms really does give you the impression that they are just extensions of his forearm armor, which I think looks brilliant. So definitely a banging looking Starscream, and now I can only hope they make a Megatron to pair alongside both this guy and Optimus Prime. Now, checking out his articulation, it is way better than Bumblebee's. So the head's on a ball joint. This will look down, it will look up, tilt side to side, rotate left to right. The parts count for a Voyager is crazy because both the hip and the skirt armor are on their own independent joints, yet they don't need to be for the transformation or for the articulation. So that's kind of cool. You can move these here forwards and backwards. The arms will kick out, they will kick back, they'll then go out to the sides. Rotation at the bicep, bend at the elbow. Unfortunately, no wrist articulation, and yes, he does kind of suffer from some hollow arm syndrome, which is a bit of a shame, as I'd say most of this guy is filled in. As we check out the wings, these are pretty dynamic, so these can move both forwards and backwards and hinge out to the side, so you can definitely get quite expressive with those. Even as we check out these tiny little back ones, these also can be hinged left to right, so those are pretty cool. And check this out, this is a modern day Voyager Starscream, and he has a proper uncompromised waist joint. This is awesome. I can't recall the last time we saw a Starscream with a waist joint, with the exception of the Siege version, so that's really sick. The hips will kick all the way forwards that far, so that is a great high kick. They'll then kick back roughly to that far, out to the sides. Again, these hip skirts are on their own separate hinge joints. There is a thigh joint, there is a knee bend, although again, you are going to want to be wary of those jet boosters, because as soon as you articulate that knee, 9 times out of 10, they will compress, which does kind of suck. And then finally, the ankles can rock forwards and backwards, although I think these have to be my biggest issue with this figure. They're super loose, and because he's quite top heavy due to the wings, 9 times out of 10, he does have a tendency to kind of topple backwards, so that's a bit of a shame. But they'll then also rock left to right. So for the most part, an incredibly well articulated Starscream, but to see what he is truly capable of, now let's put him through the pose test. Now, checking out some robot mode comparisons. First up, here is how he compares alongside the Bumblebee movie Voyager Starscream, the Transformers Siege of Voyager Starscream, and I had actually forgotten how much of a banger this figure is. No wonder they repainted and retooled this as many times as they did. Transformers Studio Series 86 Coronation Starscream. The less said about this mold, I think the better, because especially being compared alongside this Reactivate Starscream, it really does pale in comparison. I mean, no waist swivel on a leader class is kind of crazy, and to be fair, Hasbro could even maybe take this mold, retweak it a bit to turn it into a superior 86 movie Starscream. You guys let me know what you think down below. Here we have one of the more recent Voyager Starscreams. This is the one based on the Armada universe. And a quick correction, I did mention in the articulation segment that this is one of the first Starscreams since the Transformers Siege version to have a waist joint. I am wrong. This Armada Starscream also has some waist articulation, although it is heavily compromised due to the enormous size of his cockpit. And then for some Transformers Reactivate comparisons, first up we have Voyager class Optimus Prime. These two have been by far some of the biggest surprises that I've reviewed in the past couple of months, especially this Optimus Prime. For the best part of this year, I've been claiming that SS-102 is the best Prime of all time, but I'm gonna be honest guys, this is a solid Voyager figure all round. Amazing robot mode, wicked transformation, and pretty banging looking truck mode. And then for two deluxe comparisons, we have Reactivate Soundwave, and then his two-pack buddy, Reactivate Bumblebee. So, transformation-wise, is really just as involved as the previous three. So far, I have been loving the complexity of some of these Transformers Reactivate figures, but for the first step, you are going to want to take a hold of the hands and slide these inside the forearms. So do the same here for this side, slide that there all of the way in. Then for the next step, spin around to the back, and if they haven't done so already, take the boosters and slide these here into place. Then you want to take a hold of the heel spurs and slide these inside the front part of the foot, and then take these rear fins and just click those outwards. Now a step which I like to get out of the way straight away would be to take the shins of the robot mode and detach them away from the boosters. I just think it's a little easier to do it now than later on, so do the same here for this side. Slide these pieces here forwards like that. Then what you'll do is you'll take the head and it actually latches into place. So you'll kind of want to extend it here upwards until it does pop open the cockpit. Then we can take the head sculpt, rotate this around and use this kind of clasp and hinge this here inside. With that now complete, we can snap the cockpit back into its original position and then take it, extend it all of the way up until it does snap into place, and then take the tip of the nose cone and slide this here forwards. Now comes one of the more challenging parts about the transformation, that being the decompressioning of the backpack. So first of all, you're going to want to take this black piece, detach it away from the red intakes, then you're going to want to flip these here upwards, take these fins and click those up just like that. Then what you'll do is detach the intakes away from the main bulk of the jet. Now they do articulate at quite a few points. So for the first point, you are going to want to hinge this red section up like that. That will then allow enough clearance for us to take the huge ass wings and swivel these here around so the tips are now facing upwards. So let's do the same here for this side. Completely rotate those there around. Then what you'll do is you'll spin around to the front, take the shoulders, and the way I've found which is best to detach these away from the collarbone would be to kind of shoot them backwards slightly. It does then detach them and we can begin to slide those down. So do the same here for this side, slightly pull back, it will detach and then we can slide it all of the way down. And then you're going to want to take these tiny little fin pieces which are embedded inside. Again, the parts count on this guy is crazy, and just extend these here outwards. That will then allow you to take these intakes and slide these here upwards just like this. Now is where we can flip up to the top of Starscream. So you're going to want to completely straighten this piece here out all of the way, and it will sit over the top of what were originally the collarbones of Starscream's robot mode. Then this piece here should snap into place just like that. Then we can flip here to the underside. You are going to then want to rotate at the bicep so that port does perfectly line up there with that tab. So snap that in there, spin around here to this side and do the exact same. So snap that port into that tab. Then we'll flip here to the back, make sure that these boosters do attach into these tiny little black tabs. So snap those there into place, snap this side in also, and then it really is just a matter of hinging the ankle joints here down and shifting the shins all of the way up. As you guys can see, there is a tiny little tab there that will slide into that slot, and then we'll do the exact same here for this side. So slide that upwards, flip him up like this, and bang! Here we have Reactivate Starscream fully transformed into his pretty cool looking jet mode. Now I like that despite the game is being based on a post-apocalyptic Earth, even in this form, Starscream still retains some pretty cool Cybertronian details. So as we check out the sculpting, the tech definitely does seem to be alien in design, and much like we were seeing in his robot mode, that asymmetry continues into the jet mode. So I am wondering if maybe Starscream is reactivated by the humans, they patch him up to face off against the Legion. I guess only time will tell, but look at the details that we have for the wings. The asymmetry can be seen here more than it could be in the robot mode, and you can even see some subtle details for these black pieces. So the attention to detail really is crazy awesome on this guy. As we check him out from the back, all three of those boosters that we saw in the robot mode do end up specifically in the rear of the jet, which I thought was fantastic from an engineering perspective. And from a side profile, do you know what? This is definitely one of the cleanest looking Voyager Starscreams that I've seen in recent years. Way nicer looking, I think, when compared to the Earthrise version. So it's a brilliant jet mode, much like we've been seeing from Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. A fantastic vehicle form to accompany a banging looking robot mode. And then, weaponizing Starscream up to truly complete his look, the null rays can be slapped onto either side of his wings. I cannot wait to see some of the in-air combat, him battling it against some of those aliens that we've seen in the most recent teaser trailer. I think it's going to look brilliant. So, comparison-wise, we are about to give Lord Megatron his worst nightmare as we stack Reactivate Starscream up against a shit ton of recently released Starscreams. The first one being based on Bumblebee. Now, I will be keeping this wide shot for the majority of this comparison, as I think it gives you guys a great sense of scale, and also will be able to show off the undercarriages of all of the figures. Then we have the Transformers Siege Tetrajet Starscream. Now, despite Reactivate clearly having an Earth-based shape, as I mentioned previously, the surface details really do throw me back to his original Cybertron form. So, I am wondering if that's something that's going to play out in the video game itself. Are these Transformers going to obtain some kind of Cybertronian upgrades, or will it be something simple and this is just how they're designed? Then we have the Transformers Earthrise / Studio Series 86 Starscream, the Legacy Armada Universe Starscream, which is kind of a small figure, especially when compared here to Reactivate Starscream. In all honesty, it does kind of look like a deluxe in comparison. And then whacking out some of the Reactivate characters, first up we have Optimus Prime, his Reactivate Decepticon buddy, Deluxe Class Soundwave, and then finally his 2-pack mate Reactivate Bumblebee. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Reactivate Voyager class Starscream. What a great figure to kind of round off this very small subline with, a subline which I'm hoping we can get some announcements for very soon, as for the most part I have really enjoyed all of these figures. Their engineering appears to be definitely a lot more involved when compared to some of the regular generation stuff. For the most part they are definitely built better. I love the attention to detail of the asymmetrical parts. I think his accessories are awesome. I really like how they seem to be just extensions of the forearm armor, makes the integration for the most part seem seamless. Transformation complex and jet mode I think looks brilliant, especially for one which is as sleek as this is. I cannot wait now to see these Transformers in some actual gameplay, and I would love to know down in the comment section below, what do you guys think so far of the Transformers Reactivate line? I want to thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!